Welcome to another episode of The Collective Perspective. I'm here with Leanne. Leanne, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what you're up to these days?
Great. So I am the new head bartender at Leanne in Brooklyn. I am also the New York brand ambassador for both Loose Style Sherry and Westward Whiskey.
I think I've known you for a few years now. I really got to know you when I was running the Woodford Reserve competition. You've been in a lot of competitions. You've won a bunch of competitions. Tell me, overall, your thoughts about competitions in general, and more specifically, what do you look for in a competition? Is there anything that really stands out?
Cocktail competitions are really great for bartenders, especially when you're starting to explore your palate and start creating drinks, because it's a way to have a very non-committal cocktail recipe that you can establish and throw yourself into and test out on the world. I think that all cocktail competitions have a lot of value, whether you don't see it until once you're done and you realize that you've created this community and you've met a bunch of people, whether it's in your city or outside of your city. If you're going national or world, it's really exciting. So there's a lot to glean from other people, other places, and I think that's truly the best part about being in competitions.
Is there anything specific that draws you to one over the other?
I think it's definitely a mix. I think definitely the reward is always great, especially when it involves traveling to a distillery with an educational option at the end.
Yeah.
Like the rum tea punch from Clermont was probably one of my best global trips. But then there's also the challenge of working with an ingredient that you might not be comfortable with, like Krogstad Aquavit originally, and even Clermont was okay, a tea punch, that's exciting. How do I make that work? And then there's always the classics like Woodford or World Class, the bigger whiskey brands, and playing with them. It's always great to see how far you can go and what you can do with
so
the product.
each competition kind of has its own sort of thing. I mean, there seems to be a lot of competitions these days.
Yeah,
so
especially now.
You're definitely still an advocate for them. You think it's a good thing for the industry.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're not winning, you gain a lot. You meet a lot of people, and I think it's the bartending community that's the most important part. Now I know people in Florida and Colorado, and I can go anywhere and reach out to somebody and be like, "Hey, I'm in your town.
Right.
Remember when we were in Kentucky?
Yeah.
And let's meet up and grab a drink." And they kind of show you the insights and outs of their industry.
Awesome. That's awesome. Head bartender now.
Yes.
We're here at Leanne. Talk to me a little bit about that. You work with brands. You're gonna be working with more brands now, probably.
Yeah.
More relationships with brands, suppliers, brand ambassadors, distributors. What's important for you when you're working with different brands? I mean, is it relationships or what?
I think it's mainly about the relationship and education. I'm really looking forward to making sure that my staff is up to date, educated, and helping the brands spread their word. We're setting up a lot of different staff trainings, and I think that relationship building between the brand and our staff and making sure everybody's getting the most is
Got it.
Yeah.
The hustle's real.
Yes.
And you're juggling a lot of things, and that seems to be kind of normal nowadays in the bar industry. I talk to a lot of bartenders. They have 2 bartending jobs, and they work for a brand part-time, and they do this and they do events. Talk to me a little bit about that. One, how do you juggle it all? And how, with all that going on, how do you keep becoming successful year after year?
I think it's pretty tough, and the more I talk to people, they're always like, "Oh yeah, I've got a million things going on in the city and it's crazy," but I think we're also addicted to the hustle because we have so many amazing opportunities, and it's really hard to turn them down when we're working with incredible, passionate people, incredibly passionate brands. So it is challenging, but I think we get a lot from it, and that's why we continue to do it. As far as the work-life balance, that's always hard to navigate, and I'm not sure if I'm the perfect example.
I know, but I mean, I've seen you out late night, but then I've seen you up early.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. There's definitely things that I wish, and I'm looking forward to changing moving forward now that I'm in this head bartender role, like cooking more, exercising, make sure that I'm doing the things that make me happy, like arts and crafts and pottery, and the things that aren't always related. I was having a conversation with somebody recently, and part of our job is creation. I think a lot of us are constantly seeking to create and make with our hands, and that's why we're behind the bar. And it's important to realize that even though this is fulfilling a really good niche for that creativity, we need to remember that there's other outlets as well, and make sure we're doing the sports and the exercising, just as a reminder that you're something more than just a bartender and a brand rep and a hustler and everything that you're doing.
I mean, to me, you seem to be having some success with it. Is there some people or organizations or groups that have really supported you and helped you grow?
I mean, definitely my bosses here at Clover Club in Leanne have always been extremely supportive. Beyond that, the bar community. It's amazing how much you can influence younger, newer bartenders in the industry.
Yeah.
And like just having people come up to me and be like, wow, like you did so great, like I'm inspired by you. It's such an amazing feeling and kind of makes you want to keep going and doing it. And then also return the favor and be like, you're doing great, like keep going. Let's see it. Like don't be scared to enter the competitions, like get after it. If you don't enter, you can't win.
So it's kind of just the community itself.
Absolutely.
Supporting each other. And how do you think, I mean, we're 2 months into 2020. Is there anything that's exciting in the bar community this year? Any trends, anything?
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's so fresh. It's so new. I think that there's a lot of like return to the basics that I'm really appreciating, like simplifying the cocktails that we're doing, really being more focused on the spirits and like what's inside the drink. Cocktails had like a little runaway moment where they're getting like very esoteric and a little out of control.
Like, is that even a drink anymore?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that a lot of the newer cocktail bars are like dialing it in and like really focusing on what they're doing, and it's more approachable. And I think I truly enjoy that, like highballs and low ABV cocktails and simple drinks. It's like, I think that's what's up.
What else is happening for you personally? The hustle's going to continue.
Yeah.
I know you're not going to slow down.
No, probably not.
What else is on the horizon?
Well, I'm super excited to launch our first menu coming up, working with the staff, doing all the R&D, really focusing on like a culinary perspective, using all of the inspiration behind the culture of Pan-American Latin food, truly. And then beyond that, world class 2020. Heading into regionals, thank you. We'll see how far I can get this year. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome.
So just a lot on the books.
Yeah, cool. Is there something that, a message you can give to brands to say, hey, I'd like to see brands get more involved in this part of the community, or more education, or is there something that brands were doing that you'd like to see less of and maybe more of something else that would be more impactful for the bar community?
Yeah, I mean, I think when we start talking about a bar like this and a lot of other bar communities, the word sustainability is a little loose at this point. We don't exactly focus in, but I see a lot of waste happening with events. I see a lot of waste with POS, things that aren't really necessary. And if I was going to ask brands to do one thing, it would be to be a little bit more considerate about what they're doing, what they're creating, what they're pushing. And I've seen that trend actually happening lately, which is great. I just want more of it.
Yeah. Wow.
Really talking about like what they are doing as a brand to be more sustainable, because it's hard behind the bar and we do our best, but carrying brands that are sustainable, locally sourced, using humane farming practices or harvesting, especially in the agave world, is really important to us.
Last but not least, there's a lot of young bartenders coming up, probably looking at you saying, wow, I want to win competitions, I want to run bar programs, I want to work for brands. Is there something that you could say to up and coming bartenders, women, to say, hey, do more of this, start working on this?
I think it's about taking risks, really. My first competition I did because I was convinced to. I didn't think that I was able to do it. I didn't think I was good enough yet. And I had a friend and a coworker who also worked for a brand, and he's like, no, you have to do this. This is for me, do it as a favor. And I ended up getting into like the finals of this competition. And I just think it's really important not to doubt yourself and put yourself out there in the world and just keep trying. If you get shut down, that's fine. Throw your hat in the ring for another one. Especially when it comes to women, I think that we're not as encouraged as a lot of male counterparts are. We think that we need to earn things. I think that you need to work hard, which you're already doing, and just be brave enough to ask for what you want. Because if you don't ask for it, they're never going to give it to you.
Thank you. I appreciate your insight. Always love what you do. I love following you. There it is, another episode of The Collective Perspective. See you next time.